Hello, Tony. Tony Christie, welcome to this short interview about your fascinating work, Building Labyrinths.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what drew you to first start this work?
Yeah, the first labyrinth I remember coming across in this lifetime at least was my partner, who is now my wife, Fionnuala, had a deck of angel cards, and as one does, I picked a card one evening and it was called Melchizedek's Labyrinth. And there was something about it, the pattern, it was a 7-circuit classical labyrinth, and there was something about the pattern that drew me in or attracted me. And I happened to be reading a book by Jack Temple called The Healer at the time, and he had a labyrinth in the grounds of his healing centre, so putting 2 and 2 together and getting more than 4, I felt significant, and I began exploring and bought a number of books about labyrinths to explore them more, and felt I should go from there and build one in my own back garden, which I did. So that's, yeah.
What did you notice when you built the labyrinth in your back garden? Did you notice a difference straight away, or how
yeah,
did you
I was
people?
building it. I built it for myself. One way of walking the labyrinth is to ask a question and see what insights I might get, and I built it myself just for my own use, to walk. Sometimes I'd walk just looking for peace, or walk. I always felt more centred and balanced after walking, and more aligned or whatever. It was sometimes difficult to put words on how I felt, but I certainly felt better and beneficial. And I found that people who were coming to the house were asking me what it was and were walking it, and also finding some benefit from it.
Right.
So there's certainly for me, a healing or rebalancing element, certainly in a realigning element or aspect to the labyrinth. I have found that, and I think many people more and more are finding that the labyrinth is of benefit to them, that they find at least more centred and more balanced within themselves after walking a labyrinth. It can be used on many different levels after that. If you ask a question, you can explore any aspect of your life in the labyrinth, and once it brings you into a state of heightened awareness, more awareness of yourself and where you're at the time.
Now, what about the locations of labyrinths? I mean, I've never seen a labyrinth in someone's personal back garden, but I have come across them in churches in Ireland and in England. What would you say about where to locate them? Have you insights into that?
Yeah, I think you can locate a labyrinth anywhere. We have enough space to locate it. I mean, there are certainly some very well-known medieval labyrinths in France, in some of the Gothic cathedrals there in Chartres and Amiens, and they've been built according to sacred geometry, and the whole area where they are is the whole cathedral is designed to raise your awareness, so they're going to be very powerful spots. But even having a labyrinth in your own back garden, it will have not only be beneficial to you, but also be beneficial to the land, because there is a healing aspect to the labyrinth, healing the land, any place where it's placed. And I think some of the recent growth and popularity in labyrinths is because not only are people finding it beneficial, but I think it's also beneficial to the earth, in that it heals some of the negative energies and some of the and rebalances the earth where they are placed. So in
what about if you, sorry to interrupt, what about if you placed it on a ley line? Or in an earth grid? Or?
Yeah, I would think that there is a certain energy with the labyrinth that is a positive healing energy. So I would think if you placed it on that, well, then that impact would spread further than if it wasn't. It doesn't mean that there's a certain there's a certain energy field that is given off by the labyrinth, or particularly by the more ancient labyrinth patterns, and I think the more they are used, the more energy, the more people that use them, the labyrinth becomes more energized, and the healing energy field actually expands further.
Have you discovered that different patterns emit different energy fields?
I haven't looked into the different patterns. I know that many of the more popular type labyrinths that people find work give off an energy field, or that healing energy field, and that can expand the more it's used.
Which patterns would you
Certainly the classical labyrinth, which is sort of the older type, the ones found in rock carvings in northern Spain and Italy and Goa in India, and the Hopi Indian Reservation even in northern Arizona. Also medieval type ones, the most famous one being the Chartres labyrinth in Chartres Cathedral in France, that they have a very high vibration, and just by virtue of the design, the sacred geometry and the design, and that there is some, I suppose there's an element of mystery as well about the labyrinth, in that it's not known exactly where they originated, but it does seem that there is a healing element and a positive energy to them.
Well, I do know that the labyrinth in Chartres is deliberately placed on a very important node of the sacred Rachel geometry, so it works synergically with other areas such as the pulpit. So it's probably a combined effort. I believe that when you made the labyrinths, you didn't just stop there, did you, with them? You don't just create labyrinths.
No, I mean, I suppose the labyrinth it's been part of my life now for 10 or 12 years or more, and I still feel like I'm only scratching the surface in relation to labyrinths. I feel the labyrinth, for me, it kind of drew out I started receiving insights from using the labyrinth, insights that I was receiving myself that I wanted to share with people, and wanted to share. I see a lot of the work that I do is introducing people to the labyrinth, so that that they can experience this for themselves. And it's like anything, it may not be for everybody, but for those people who are drawn to the labyrinth, it has been very helpful and beneficial to them. So in building labyrinths, I have found that it has a healing effect not only on the people who use it, but also on the land, in that reducing geopathic stress and so on.